Hello and welcome to another review from Class 47 Peter, and today we are here to look at the Hornby A4 in the BR Express Passenger Blue livery. This particular loco is number 60023 Golden Eagle, and it's a new release, only being released in December of 2015. This is the second A4 I have, the other one being Commonwealth of Australia, which is in the LNER Coronation Garter Blue livery, and is also a limited edition. And it has already been reviewed previously on the channel, as you all should have seen that review by now, as it's a few years old or so now. And so now I have two A4s, which are the premium models that have been released now from Hornby for a number of years. I personally think that the blue liveries of the A4 are one of the best liveries of this particular loco that you can get, in my own personal opinion. And since blue is actually my favourite colour, that explains why both A4s I have are blue. Right, so enough with the chit chat. Now we're going to get the model open. So first of all we'll take off the box sleeve, and as you can see it's the usual Hornby style packaging that we see now, which of course is the plastic packaging that is used by Bachmann and Helgen and also Oxford Rail. Now when you open up the box, you get the instructions, which tells you things such as how to lubricate the model, how to fit the detail parts that you also get, and how to fit the DCC decoder. And you also get the detail parts as mentioned earlier. In the detail pack you get the drain cocks to fit to the cylinders, and the flanged wheel that fits under the cab. This is not to be used when running the locomotive. This is only if you're going to put it on display, because I should warn you, if you do put this on the model, if you decide to run it, you will find that it causes derailment problems on bends. I should know because I've had this experience myself. Now we move on to the model itself. Now first of all, this is a very heavy model, but the weight is important, because without the weight you would not be able to pull anything with this model. So the weight is important for that reason. Moving on to the detail of the model, we have metal sprung buffers. Moving on to the cod's mouth door of the locomotive, we have separately fitted lamp irons, as you can see. We also have rivets on the cod's mouth door and the locomotive number plate. The cod's mouth door in question does not open like it does on the real thing, but it doesn't really need to open anyway. It would have been a nice feature, but it doesn't really need to open. We also have a shed code printed on the front of the cod's mouth door. This shed code is 52A, and it's the shed code for Gateshead, which of course, being it's an Eastern Region locomotive, it was a shed on the Eastern Region. We also have a turn metal brass whistle and a single chimney, which is what the locomotive was fitted with in reality. Moving down to the locomotive, we can see we have rivets on the cylinders, and you can also just about see some rivets on the bogie frames, which adds to the detail. Moving on to the moving parts, we can see the valve gear and the link motion on the side rods is all connected up as it is shown in the photos of the locomotive, and I can't wait to see all that moving. We also have some rivets on the running plate as well. We also have a metal reversing lever just under the running plate there, again as shown on the real locomotive, and that metal reversing lever gives the model some bling. Then moving up on top of the streamlined casing, you can see that there are rivets on top of it, which is very nice because it adds to the detail, and it's also shown like that on the real casing of the A4. We also have metal handrails that are separately fitted down the side of the loco, and I do love how at the front of the locomotive they're painted black, and then on the actual casing that's painted, it's painted blue, like on the loco, and that is a really nice touch. You can also see we have some pipe work under the metal handrails, and also we have the nameplates fitted to the side of the loco. The wedge streamlined casing of the A4 has been very well captured by Hornby. On the Batman models to start with, the streamlined casing didn't look very right, and even now I still think it doesn't look quite right, so Hornby have got it bang on, as you can see. And also, the livery is spot on as well. The shade of blue is accurate, and I love the white and black lining, which helps to lift the livery, and also like how it curves round at the front of the locomotive and above the chimney. Moving on to the cab, we have metal safety valves and rivets, and also the cab vents do open, as you can see in this photo here. Moving on to the cab, we have metal handrails, as you can see on the side of the cab, a works plate, lining around the cab, and the cab site numerals are crisply printed on the sides, as well as the glazing that's fitted into all the cab windows, as there should be, and also we have cab doors there, which again are separately fitted. It's also worth noting that the front cab windows have silver window trims, which I like because it makes them stand out a lot more. We then move on to the pony truck under the cab. We have axle box, we also have the cab steps with some rivets on, and also we have the springs as well, as it is in the real thing. Now we cannot forget the cab interior. Just look at that, we have the gauges painted, the dials, the regulator, the lever, the pipework. It's all painted, and it's what we expect now from Hornby and the other manufacturers. And that painted cab interior gives it that extra more detail, and it makes it more realistic as well. We then move on to the tender. Just like on the locomotive, the livery is superbly applied, and again it's the accurate shade of blue. We also have finely printed lining that's crisply printed on, and we also have the beautiful early emblem printed on the sides of the tender. And also we have metal handrails as well fitted to the tender, as it is on the real tender of the A4. Moving down to the tender frames, we have the steps fitted on the frames, axle boxes and springs, and also there are some rivets on the tender frames as well. On the faceplate of the tender, we have the chute where the coal comes out of, so the fireman can put it in the locomotive's boiler in the firebox. And also, we also have the handles there to transfer the water from the tender to the boiler. It is worth mentioning that the tender that this A4 is fitted with is the non-corridor tender, but during this period, this is accurate for this particular locomotive. But it's nice because it's nice to have an A4 that doesn't have a corridor tender, as the other A4 I have has a corridor tender. On the back of the tender we have the slim NEM coupling, a brake pipe fitted, coupling hook on the back, and we also have a few lamp irons and separately fitted metal handrails. And also you have what act as steps for the crew to climb up on the back of the tender and up to the water filler cab. And just like on the front of the loco, the buffers on the tender are metal and they are also sprung as well. Moving on to the top of the tender, we have the water filler cap. Now it doesn't open, but it doesn't really need to, and to be honest I don't expect the water filler caps to open anyway, but they are there. And as we expect with all locomotives nowadays, or most of them, we do have a removable coal load in the tender. The good thing about having the removable coal load in the tender means that I can fit a real coal load to it, which is what I am intending to do. Now we come to the other side of the A4. On this side you can see some flaps which open up so you can work on various parts under the streamlined casing. Also on this side, as you can clearly see, we don't have any pipe work under the metal handrails. Although these flaps to the streamlined casing are moulded, although not much can be done about that, I do like how this one is shown to be open, which gives it that much more detail. On the other side of the cab we have a small metal lever of some sort, which is separately fitted, and I love the metal finish to it because again, like with the reversing lever, it gives it some bling. and that is a really nice touch to have. Now, one thing that definitely needs a mention is the small connecting rod on the rear drive wheel. Originally, when Hornby released their Super Detail A4s, they had a problem because they would often become prone to disconnecting. That was because originally, when they were first released, they had a small hook fitted on the end of the rod that was attached to a piece of plastic. But it wasn't a brilliant design because that small detail part would go missing and then the rod would become detached. However, Hornby have gone back and they have corrected this. They have completely done away with that design, and as you can see in this photo here, they have changed the design completely of the rear connecting rod, and that is good because it goes to show that Hornby have took this into their minds and they have gone back and they've corrected it, and as a result of this there are no problems now with the rear connecting rod on the A4, and this is something that some manufacturers could learn from by going back and changing some detail parts that aren't right on their models. It's also worth mentioning that the tender connection has also changed. It's now changed to the wire plug style socket that we now see on all tender engines produced by the manufacturers, and also we have the new style drawbar connector. I also nearly forgot to mention that on the front of the loco we also have a separately fitted chain link coupling and a vacuum pipe. We now come on to the running performance of the A4. When running around the layout, the locomotive ran smoothly, with no juddering movements or any grinding noises. It ran smoothly around the layout without any problems. It's also worth mentioning that when going around corners, the locomotive didn't derail either. After running around the light engine, the A4 was coupled up to the rank of teak coaches. Now, while there are only 4 coaches beyond the locomotive, it just shows exactly why the weight is important, because even if it's only 4 coaches, without the weight, the locomotive wouldn't be able to pull them. So overall, the Hornby A4 is a stunner. All the stunning detail it has, and the running performance, Hornby's A4 has never failed to disappoint. And it's also a locomotive that is easily more than capable of hauling whatever rank of coaches it has beyond the tender. And on a personal view, Hornby's A4s are better than Bachmann's, as Hornby make the best A4s on the market, as shown in this review video. I therefore rate the Hornby A4 a strong 10 out of 10. This has been Class 47 Peter, reviewing the Hornby A4, signing off, and hope to see you again soon. Ta-ta for now.